Good morning, children. Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to learn active and passive voices. Active and passive voices, particularly how to convert into other voice. That is, how to convert active voice into passive voice and passive voice into active voice. These things that we have already learned in the previous classes. So, first, let us remember what we have learned in our previous classes. There are two ways in which we can describe an action performed by the subject in relative with the object. First, active voice. Here, subject perform an action and object receives the action. Sentence structure is subject plus verb plus object. That is, subject follows by verb and object. Next, passive voice. An action is performed on the object by the subject. The sentence pattern here is object plus helping verb plus V3 form of verb, that is participle, plus by preposition and subject. Let us see an example for it to make it clear. Mayank repaired my car. It can be converted into passive as my car was repaired by Mayank. Both the sentences are same in the meaning, but the context changes. In the first sentence, subject Mayank is given more importance, and we get to know that he is the person who is performing the repair activity on the car, which is an object. In the second sentence, we are giving more importance to the object car than the action performed by the subject rather than the subject itself. Now, we generally use active voice only. There are two reasons for using passive voice. If you want to give less importance to the subject and focus more on action and the receiver of action, and the second is if you don't know the subject at all, we can practice with this more example. We can practice with this more example with the notes that is going to follow with this video. That is, after posting the video, I'm going to give more notes. Through that you can practice. Now let's see how we can convert any active voice to passive voice. Basically, there are 5 simple steps in converting active voice into passive voice. Let's see them by one by one. First, identify subject, object and main verb in any sentence. That is, we have to identify the subject, object and main verb. Second, swap subject with object and object with subject. And the third, convert the main verb to third form of verb, that is participle. Then the fourth one is add a proper helping verb before main verb. And the fifth, add a preposition by before the subject. So at the end, the sentence structure of the passive voice is object plus helping verb plus V3 form of verb, that is participle, plus by preposition and subject. These are the 5 simple steps that we need to follow. There are 2 important things that we need to remember here. Before converting, we should remember 2 important things. Firstly, while replacing the subject with the object, the subject is pronoun and the conversion will be like this. I will be me, he will be him, she will be her, we will be us and they will be them. We have to remember this properly. Secondly, we need to add a proper helping verb of to be before the main verb. This helping verb is decided based on tenses with an example of main verb right. Let's look into the different helping verbs as per the tense one by one, which we need to learn. First, simple present tense. In active voice, if we use simple present tense write or writes, in the passive voice, we have to change it as is, or we have to use helping verb like is, am or are, and with the V3 form of verb written. Then in present continuous tense, we can use, if we are using is or am or are with the main verb writing, then in passive verb it will be as is or am or are plus being plus written. For present perfect tense, for active voice we will be using a verb like have written, and in passive voice it will be changed as have been written. And for simple past tense, active voice we will be use the verb wrote, and in passive voice we will be changing it as was or were helping verb plus written main verb, that is V3 verb. past continuous tense, for active voice we will be using was or were plus writing, where in passive voice we will be using was or were plus being plus written. That is, written is the V3 form of verb. For past perfect tense, we will be writing had written for active voice. When we change it into passive, we have to use had been plus written. That is V3 form of verb. For future, simple future tense, we will be using will write for active. When we change it into passive, we will be writing will be written. Will be for passive and written is for V3 form of verb. And for future perfect tense, will have written for active voice, and for passive voice it will be changed as will plus have plus been plus written. These are the 8 tenses chart for understanding which helping verb ought to be used when converting active to passive voice. Now you must have noticed that we haven't used 4 tenses, which are present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, future continuous tense and future perfect continuous tense in English grammar. We won't convert these tenses to passive as these are grammatically not correct. Because these are grammatically not correct tenses.
For simple present tense. The active sentence is he writes a letter. Now to convert it into passive, we will use the 5 steps we discussed previously. Step 1 is to identify subject, object and main verb in the sentence. Here, who is doing the action? It's he. So it's a subject. What is the action performed? It's write. So it's a verb.
Right.
And on what the action is performed?
And on
it's
what
the
the
letter.
action is performed,
so it's an object. Now that we have identified the subject, object and verb, let's move to the next step and swap. Now we need to swap
next step, that
object
is
to subject and subject to object.
From subject
so
to object,
a letter
object to subject.
will come at the first place,
a letter
and
come at first
he will be
place,
turned into
and
him
he will be turned
and
to
positioned
him
last,
at the last position
where the object was
where
there.
the object was
In step 3, we need
in
to
third
convert
step,
main
we
verb
need to
to
convert
third form.
main verb
So it will
into
be
third
written.
form of verb,
In
that
the
is
step
V3 form
4,
of verb.
we need
So
to
it will be
add
written and
a helping
in
verb.
written.
So
And in
it will
fourth
be
step,
is
we need
written
to add
as it
helping
is
verb, and
simple
it will
present
be as
tense.
is written
If you
as
read
it
the
is
sentence,
simple
it is a
present
letter
tense.
written him.
If you read the
Think that the
sentence, it
sentence
will
is
be
complete.
as
No,
a
it's
letter
not.
is written him.
That's where step
Think whether
5
the
will
sentence
come.
is complete.
In
No,
step
it's not.
5, we need
That's
to
where
add
step
by
5
before
comes
him.
here. According to
Now
it, we have
the
to
whole
use
sentence
by.
is completed.
No, the whole
A
sentence
letter
is completed.
is
A letter is
written
written
by
by
him.
hope.
I hope you
I
are
hope
clear
you are
with
clear
all
now.
the steps.
So a letter
Now
is
let's see
written
an
by
example of present continuous tense.
Now we are
Active
moving
voice.
on to simple present
Javed is
continuous
making
tense.
a cake.
The active voice
Step
is Javed
is to
making
identify
a cake.
subject, object and
So we are
verb.
using the
Here,
first step.
who is performing
identify
an
the
action?
subject and object
It's
here.
Javed. So
subject
it's the
is
subject.
Javed.
What
And
the
the
action
object is
performed?
cake.
It's making.
Yes, making
So
will
it's a
be the
verb.
verb,
And
main
what's at the receiving
So
end?
we have
It's the
identified
cake.
now
So it's an
subject,
object.
verb and object.
Now in
So
step
as per
2,
the second
we need
step,
to swap the position
we
of
have to
subject
swap
Javed,
the subject
the object
Javed
a cake.
as object
That
and
in
the
step
cake as
3,
the subject.
we need to
As per the
convert
third
verb
step,
to its
convert,
third form.
we have to
So it will be
convert
made.
main verb into
Now
V3
moving
form
to
of
step
verb, that
4,
is
we
made.
need to add a
And
helping verb
helping verb
of
should
to
be
be.
added as per the fourth
Present
step.
continuous,
What is the helping
we
verb to
add
be added here
is
as it is
being.
continuous tense?
Lastly,
we have
to
using
make the
being,
sentence
and the
complete,
preposition by
we
should be
attach
used
by
with Javed.
before
Now
the
we can
subject.
get the complete sentence.
Final
A cake
passive
is
voice
being
sentence
made
is
by
a
Javed.
cake
That
is
passive
being made
sentence.
by
A
Javed.
cake is being
Now
made by
let's see
Javed.
example of present
Next
perfect
tense,
tense.
present
Sentence.
perfect tense.
I have
So,
eaten a
present
burger.
perfect tense.
Passive sentence. Firstly,
As per the
we
first
need
law,
to
passive
identify
voice.
SVO,
As per the
that
first,
is subject,
identify the
verb
subject
and object. So
The
here
subject is
I is the subject,
I,
eaten
and
is the
verb
verb,
is eaten,
and a burger
and the object
is the
is
object.
burger.
Now let's swap the
Now we
position
have to
of
change-
object
swap
and
the
subject.
and
Here
object.
it
Now,
will be a burger, and
burger,
at this position
a
it will be
burger
me.
is the subject,
Now
and the object
converting
I
the
will be
main verb
changed
to
as
third
me.
form, it will
And
be
now we
eaten.
have to change
Next,
the have
adding a
eaten
suitable
as
helping verb,
have
it will be
been
has
eaten.
been. And lastly, we need to
A
add by
burger
here
has been
to make
eaten
the
by
sentence
me.
complete.
A
The
burger
whole
has
sentence
been eaten
is
by
a
me.
burger
Now is
has
a
been eaten
passive
by me.
voice. Next,
Let's
we are
see
moving on to
example
the next
of simple
tense,
past
that is
tense.
simple
Active
past
sentence.
tense.
bought
So
a
the active
car.
voice here
Passive
is
sentence.
we bought
Firstly,
a car.
we need to
To
identify
change it into passive, we
subject,
have to
verb
identify
and
the
object.
subject, object
Here,
and
he is
verb
the
noun.
subject.
Here,
Bought
he
is the verb.
subject,
And
verb,
car
object.
is the
That
object.
is, verb is
Now
bought
let's
and
swap the
object is
position of subject
car.
and
Now
object.
swap it.
So here
A car
it will be a
the
car,
subject
and at
noun.
this
The
position
object comes
it will be
before.
him.
He will be
Converting
changed
the
as
main
him.
verb to third
So the
form,
past
it will
tense,
be
that is
bought.
simple past tense,
Next,
bought
adding a suitable
will be
helping
written
verb,
as
it will be
a
was.
car
And
was
lastly,
bought
we need to add by
him as
here.
per the
Make
fifth
the
step.
sentence complete.
So a
So
car
the whole
was
sentence is
bought
a
by
car was
him
bought
as a
by
passive
him.
voice. Now
Let's see
he
an
bought a
example
car, it's been
of
changed
past
as
continuous tense.
such way. Next
Active
tense
sentence.
is past continuous tense.
Sarah was singing a song.
Example for it is Sarah
Passive
was
sentence.
singing a song.
Firstly, let's
So to convert it
get
into
the
passive,
SVO,
we have to
that is
identify
subject, verb
subject,
and
verb
object.
and object.
So
Now,
here Sarah is the
subject
subject,
is Sarah,
singing
verb
is the
singing,
verb, and
and
a
the
song
object
is
is
the object. Now let's
song.
swap the position of
So as per the
subject
second
and
step,
object.
we have to swap
Here it will be
subject
a
and
song,
object.
and
A
at this
song
position it
and
will be Sarah.
Sarah will be
Converting the
swapped.
main verb to third form,
Singing
it will be sung.
change
Next,
the sung
adding a
as per the
suitable
weekly
helping
form
verb
of
of
So
to be.
as it is past
It will be
continuous
was
tense, we
being.
have to use
Lastly,
being.
we
So
added a by to make
by
the
will
sentence
be used
complete.
as per the fifth
So
step.
the whole
So
sentence
now
is
we'll
the
get
song
the
was
complete
being
passive
sung
sentence
by
as
Sarah.
song was
Let's
being
see
sung by
example of
Sarah.
past perfect tense.
So next one is
Active
past
sentence.
perfect tense.
Jay had finished
Example
homework.
for it is Jay
Passive
has
sentence.
finished
Firstly,
homework.
the subject here is
To convert it into
Jay.
passive, we have to
Verb
identify
is
the
finished
subject,
and
verb
object
and
is
object.
homework.
J
Let's
subject, verb,
swap the
finish,
position
and
of subject
will be homework.
and
Now
object.
swap it.
So here
Homework
it will be
the
Jay, and at this
subject,
position
J
it will be
the
homework.
object. Now So
converting
as
the
per
main verb to the third
law,
form,
that is
it will be
main verb,
finished.
we have to change
Next,
into V3
adding
form
a
of
suitable
verb.
helping
Finished
verb
will be
of
changed
to be,
as
it will
V3
be
form
had been.
of verb finished again.
Lastly,
As it
we
is
need to add
past
by
perfect
here
tense, we
to
have
make
to
the
use
sentence
had been,
complete.
and by will be used
The
as
whole
per the
sentence
fifth step.
is like this.
That is preposition
Homework
by will
had
be
been
used.
finished
So the complete
by Jay.
sentence is homework had
Let's
been
see
finished by
example of
Jay.
simple future tense.
So the next tense
Active
is
sentence.
simple
We
future
will
tense.
accept the order.
Active
Passive
sentence
sentence.
is
Firstly,
she will
subject
accept the
here
offer.
is
She
she.
is the subject here.
Verb is
Will accept. That is
and
accept will be
object
the verb here,
offer.
and object
Now
will
let's
be offer.
swap the position
Now
of subject
swap
and
the subject
object.
and object.
Here it will be
The
her,
offer will come
and at
first.
this
He will
position
be
it
changed
will be
as
the
her,
offer.
and the offer
Converting the
will be
main
changed as
verb
the
to third
subject
form,
here.
it will be
So it is
accepted.
future tense.
Next,
we have to change
adding a
accept as
suitable
accepted
helping
as
verb
the V3
of
form.
to
That
be,
is,
it
main
will
verb
be will be.
converted to V3 form.
And lastly,
and will
we
be
need to
converted as will
add
be
by
as it is
here.
simple
Make
future,
the sentence
and by
complete.
preposition will be
So
used as
the
per
whole sentence
step.
is
So the complete
the
sentence
offer
of
will be
passive
accepted
the
by
offer will
her.
be accepted
Great.
by
Now
her.
let's see an example
So
of
we have
future
to
perfect
change as
tense.
per it.
Active
Then
sentence.
the last one is
I
future
will have
perfect
charged
tense.
the battery.
The active voice
Passive
is I will
sentence.
have charged
Firstly,
the
the
battery.
subject here is
We have
I.
to change it into passive.
Verb
so
is
first we have
charged
to identify the subject,
and object
verb
is the
and
battery.
object. Subject is I.
Let's
verb
swap
will
the
be
position
charged,
of subject and
the
object.
Object
So
will be
here
battery.
it will be
I
me.
subject will be
At
changed
this
as
position it will be
me,
the battery.
and the battery
Converting
will
the
be
main
the
verb
object now.
to third form,
Charged
it
will
will
be
be
the same as
charged.
in the V3 form
Next,
of verb as charged.
adding a suitable
And
helping
will
verb
have will be
of
changed
to be,
as
it will be will have been.
been.
Lastly, we need to add
As
by
per,
here.
preposition
Make the
should be
sentence
used,
complete.
By should be used there.
So the whole
So the
sentence
complete
is
sentence,
battery
passive
will have
sentence
been
will be the
charged
battery will
by
have
me.
been charged by me.
These are the 8
These
ways
are the
in
8
which
ways
you
in
can
which
convert
you
an
can
active
convert
voice
an
to
active
passive
into
voice.
passive
Now I am
sentence.
sure
Now
that
I'm
you will
sure
not
that
have
you will
difficulty
not have difficulty
conversion
in
of
converting
active
the
to
sentence.
passive voice.
Let's revise again,
That's all in
children. Always
active passive voice
you should
in this
remember
video.
the 5-step
Revise
formula
what we
to
have
convert
learned in
an
this
active
video.
sentence into
We defined the
passive
5-step formula
Because this
to
5-step
convert
formula is
any
much
active voice
important
to passive.
convert an active
Step
sentence
is
into
to identify
passive.
the subject,
First one is
object
identify
and verb
subject,
in any
verb
sentence.
and object.
Second step
Next one
is to
is we
swap
have
the
to
subject
swap the
with the
subject
object
to
and object with the
to
subject. Third
And
step
the third
is
one
to
is we have
convert
to
main
convert
verb to its
the main
third
verb
form,
into
that is
V3, that is
participle
participle,
form.
past
Fourth
participle
step
form of
is
verb.
to add a
And the
suitable helping
fourth one
verb
is we
before
have
the
to
main verb
add
based on
main
tenses. Then finally add a by before a subject to make it complete. That's all in this video. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any questions or suggestions,